On February the 24th, international efforts to prevent the Russian invasion of Ukraine failed. The Biden administration's response: sanction Moscow and give Kyiv billions in military assistance. Even so, the war ground on through December.
President Putin has failed at defeating Ukraine on the battlefield. He has failed at his land grabs in the south and the east. He's failed at erasing Ukraine's borders, its identity, its people, its resilience.
The U.S. and other Western countries looked for ways to punish Moscow: oil price caps, travel and business sanctions, gathering evidence of alleged human rights violations and war crimes. They also used the war to expand NATO's membership. But isolating Russia wasn't as easy as the U.S. had hoped.
I think all wars end in some kind of negotiated solution at some point. The costs so far are not high enough for Russia to conclude that it's in their interest to stop.
Ukrainian people have a lot of backbone.
That said, the U.S. has made it clear it will not send American troops to help Ukrainians fight. The war in Ukraine wasn't the only foreign policy crisis facing the Biden administration. It also had to put a lot of time and energy into what it calls its #1 foreign policy priority: the rise of China. Washington says it wants to compete with Beijing, not contain it. But it is worried about China's efforts to dominate economic and military relations around the world while ignoring its human rights obligations. The Pentagon recently unveiled its newest stealth bomber, the B-21, with this warning: the U.S. is watching China's every move.
America's defense will always be rooted in deterring conflict. So we are again making it plain to any potential foe: the risk and the cost of aggression far outweigh any conceivable gains.
Antony Blinken visited countries in Southeast Asia 3 times in 2022. He also endorsed increased U.S. military support for Taiwan. And he went to Australia to bolster the new security alliance with it and the United Kingdom. Blinken also made 4 trips to the Middle East, a region where Beijing has tried to build closer economic ties.
There are a lot of opportunities for U.S. firms, for U.S. businesses, for U.S. persons to engage with, interact with, do business with every day with people in these parts of the world. China's just taken the lead on that because they see an opportunity.
Efforts to recalibrate ties with Saudi Arabia were complicated. Despite a presidential trip to Saudi Arabia in July, the U.S. is now reviewing its economic and political relationship with Riyadh because of a rift over global oil prices. Critics have also attacked Washington's decision to not let the fiancé of Jamal Khashoggi sue Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman for the journalist's murder in 2018. The U.S. made little progress in resurrecting the nuclear deal with Iran. It's not clear when a new round of negotiations will happen. Prospects for peace talks between Israelis and Palestinians were also dim, though late in 2022, a new special representative for Palestinian affairs was appointed. The U.S. and its allies couldn't stop North Korea's nuclear weapons program, or even prevent it from test firing dozens of ballistic missiles. And despite the anarchy on the streets of Haiti's capital, the U.S. and other countries have yet to decide if they will send in armed troops. This at the request of President Ariel Henry. Looming over all of this, though, is the war in Ukraine, a challenge the U.S. has argued must be defeated if respect for the rule of law and for self-determination is to endure. Rosalind Jordan, Al Jazeera, Washington.